What's that sound? It's For Amusement Only, the EM and Bingo Pinball Podcast.
Welcome back to For Amusement Only. This is Nick Baldridge. In our last episode, I talked about some things that you can do to prevent a backglass from being destroyed as far as the artwork goes. So today, I wanted to talk specifically about bingos and ways that you can, again, prevent the artwork from coming off, and what to do if you have a game with no glass, and where to go, what to do. So, if you are looking at a game and it's missing a glass, first thing to do after doing, a Google search and seeing if there are any new old stock backglasses out there, would be to see if you can get a reproduction from Koos over in Holland at coos.net. Koos has found a way to make translights which are more intense than the typical translight, and it's his technique that I've used in order to make my own translights. The only difference is that I print mine on a single sheet, and his are printed on 3 different sheets. However, looking at his site, the reproductions appear excellent. He also, if you lived in Holland, makes reproductions on actual glass, and will ship them to you. Or if you lived in Europe. However, I don't. I live in the US, and he doesn't want to ship glass internationally, which I completely understand. So, in that case, he will ship translate films, and then you construct your own. They're, as I say, quite pretty. It looks like they would certainly do well in the place of a missing backglass. If you have a backglass which has artwork that is starting to flake, or if you just want to keep your artwork intact on your glass, and you've already got the temperature under control, because that's factor 1. Factor 2 is the heat. So the more heat and the longer it's applied to the back of the glass, the quicker the ink is going to separate. So, as I mentioned in the previous episode, LEDs are very popular because they are relatively inexpensive. They can last longer than a traditional bulb, and they provide a higher intensity light. It's very directional. But I prefer the look of incandescence, as I said. I'm kind of an old fogey in that regard. I just think they look quite a bit better. So, the bingos would use 55 lamps in all the odds, features, tilts, and across the red letter at the top. The only place that the machine called for 47s were in that special circuit that requires a certain amount of resistance between the 47 and the 55 in the red letter circuit. 55s generate an awful lot of heat. They produce about as much heat as a 44. And for those that are familiar with 44s, they've traditionally been swapped out for 47s, which are a lower power version of the same style of lamp. 55s are a globe style lamp, and so they do look different than 47s. However, you can swap a 47 into the place of any 55 in the game except for the red letter bulbs, of which only one is lit at any given time. So I have a double up, and when I purchased it, the Backglass looked brand new. The Backglass had packing tape applied to the back and a clear piece of plexi, very thin, behind it. The sheet had protected the artwork, but unfortunately the packing tape started to peel after I had it and been playing it for some time. And when it did finally peel, it took some of the artwork with it. Not a massive amount, but here and there. Those that have been here before, next time you come over, you'll see. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. The small imperfections that come with a bit of missing artwork. Now, it's not flaking. There's no artwork that is coming off in sheets. None of that kind of bad stuff. But it is considerably less perfect than when I first brought it home. So, that's the only glass I've ever seen that had some kind of protective film on the back. And on the bingos, if the folding wooden piece that holds all the lamps behind the back glass is flush up against the back glass, as in there's not a whole lot of room for it to move, then it can scrape against the glass as well when you nudge the machine. So I'm assuming that this person who had done this, the operator, had done this to protect the back glass. And, probably wasn't expecting the machine to continue to be used 40 some years after it was first produced. So I've got to say that his little trick did preserve the image on the back glass, but the tape is the thing that's the problem. The adhesive caused the ink to come up, and without that, it would have been fine. If the plexi had been cut exactly the same shape and size as the glass that it was covering, it wouldn't have been a problem. But alas, that was not to be. So there are a couple other folks that make bingo translite sheets. There's a guy named Chris Dade who at least used to make translite repros, and I'm looking on Phil's site. I don't see his contact info on there anymore, so I'm not sure if he's still doing that or not, but he used to be a resource for that. Personally, I would prefer to get a translite sheet. It's cheaper. You get 2 pieces of plexi or 2 pieces of glass if you choose, and sandwich it between it. And there you go. It's all taken care of for less expense. So, as I mentioned, new old stock glasses do show up occasionally on eBay or via Google search. People just selling them. Craigslist, you never know. So keep a lookout there too, and reach out to the collector community over on the Bally Bingos in Britain forums, Pinside, RGP, anywhere that pinball people congregate. It's possible that someone has the Backglass that you need hanging up as artwork, doesn't have the actual game, and might be persuaded to trade with you for a bit of coin. So all that said, I would highly suggest that 55s be exchanged for 47s, especially if you're planning to operate the machine for a extended period of time on any given day. This will preserve the Backglass ink and has an unfortunate side effect of having dimmer light because they do use less power than their 55 counterparts. But it's a small price to pay on something which could be irreplaceable. Well, thank you again for joining me. My name is Nick Baldridge. You can reach me at foramusementonlypodcast@gmail.com. You can find us online at foramusementonly.libsyn.com, and you can listen to us on iTunes, Stitcher, Pocket Casts, via RSS, on Facebook, or directly on our website. Thanks again for listening, and I'll talk to you next time.